Bring it back towards the ceiling, release the hands, and then make a fist. So you're gonna close your fist off with the thumb on the outside, roll through your wrist. Then start or continue that rolling action as you lower the hands down by your side. Bringing the hands down, and then try to segment your spine down the best you can. So upper back is down. Try to bring the mid back down next. And it'll help if you really activate in the front. So pushing down or pulling down in the front in order to make this happen. Then the low back. Oh, just doing your best. And then the pelvis. All right. Now bring the knees up and over our hips. Think about pulling the sides of your ribs in towards one another, and then the hands come behind the head. Elbows reach towards the sky. If you have a block, I know not everyone does, but if you do, and you can place that in between the thighs. Take a breath in, exhale it out, and lift your shoulder blades off of your mat. So all or part of the shoulder blades lift. If this is too much to have the legs, the knees up and over the hips, you can have your feet down on the ground. Okay. Inhale and lower. Exhale, release the breath out, and then lift the shoulder blades up and off the mat. Take a look down and think about pulling even more from the sides and pressing your back ribs into your mat. If you feel like the center of your torso is lifting, those are our superficial muscles, and we want our deep abdominals working. So we want to hold the front down when we do this. Inhale to lower. Exhale, release the breath out, lift up. If you need to breathe while you're up here, do it. Okay, we just have a couple more. Again, hold the front down. If you would like to add on, you can extend the left leg and then rebend the knee and extend the right leg. Rebend the knee. We'll do one more each side. And then bring the knees back over the hips. Inhale to lower is our very last one. Give it all you've got. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades off the mat. Okay, so this is our shorter version. We're only 30 minutes, right? So pull the front body down, extend if you want to, your right leg, bend, and then left, and bend. And focus on the deep core working. So we don't have to add on as long as you're working the deep core. That's what we want to get. And then inhale and lower. All right, pull the knees in towards you, rock forward and back or roll to your side, and then lift up. So your choice, you can roll forward and back or use the hands and then come forward into table. So as we arrive in table, we're gonna press firmly into both hands and think about your core work we did, right? There's always a purpose for that. So you wanna pull the front ribs in so that we can find a long spine. So think back of the head, your shoulder blades and your sacrum are in one line. Bring your right arm towards the right and bend your elbow. So it's gonna be at 90 degrees towards the side. Inhale. On your exhale, bring your right elbow over towards the left. Now, it doesn't have to touch. It just depends on how much space you have. You can just come in front and then bring it out to the side. Bring it in front or over to the left elbow and bring it out to the side. Do that a couple more times. You're reminding yourself to stay connected to the front. Keep lifting the back of the head if it's dropping so that we can keep this long line, long cervical spine. Then on this last one, reach it out to the side and think about the back of the arm lifting up towards the ceiling. If you want a little bit more, think about your shoulder blade on that right backside, pulling in towards center, giving you a little more mobilization there. And now bring your right forearm down, elbows right under the shoulder. Press into your right forearm and the left hand and round through your upper back. Give a little more through the right elbow, through the right forearm. You can allow your chin to curl towards your chest here for that fascial stretch. And bring both hands underneath your shoulders, and we'll take it to the opposite side. So left arm reaches out, elbow bends. So elbow is just in line with the shoulder. Press the back of the arm towards the ceiling, and then bring the elbow underneath you. You can bring the left elbow towards the right, might touch, and then bring it back out to the side. So the more neutral that you can stay through the torso and the rest of the body, the more that you're focused on the movement happening in the shoulder and the thoracic spine. That's the idea of staying strong in the right arm, core is on. Now on the last one, hold it out to the side, stay strong and lift the back of the arm up. You can think about your left shoulder blade, if you can, pulling towards the center of your body, so towards your spine. And then bring your left forearm down, elbow underneath your shoulder. Press into the left forearm and the right hand. If you want a little bit more for the left side, press more into that left side. You can allow the chin to curl towards the chest. And then slowly release that, and we're going to bring both forearms down. Take the elbows underneath your shoulders. Bring your heart forward. So you're trying to draw your shoulder blades towards one another, retraction, and then press it away, protraction. So think shoulder blades spread apart. Retraction, heart comes forward, and protraction. We have a shorter lever with the elbows bent, so it is more challenging to get the movement in the thoracic spine, which is your upper back. If it feels like you're not getting anything, you're really restricted, you can always come to the hands and do the same thing. Heart forward and press away. Okay, now lower to your forearms, elbows right under the shoulders if you lifted to the hands. Allow your neck to release so the head relaxes, neck relaxes, and then you can just round through the upper back and stay there, or curl your toes and lift your knees off the mat for a dolphin. So you're either on the knees, rounding through the upper back, pressing firmly into the forearms, or rounding and then lifting the knees up. You can keep the knees slightly bent regardless of where you are. Lift into the back line by pulling in the front. One more breath. And then lower the knees. Come up to your hands. And then we'll step to the front of the mat. So you can curl your toes under, or you can lift up from the knees, however you need to get there, because they all have different stuff going on. We're going to come to the front of the mat, standing. Think about your glutes being on and finding that neutral. So remember when we were on our back for our core work, think back of the head, shoulder blades, and your sacrum in one line. Ground firmly into the feet. Inhale, reach your arms forward and up to the sky. Exhale, hinge at the hips. So bend the knees, hips go back, and the fingertips come down. We'll step the right foot back and the right knee lowers. Spin your right foot towards the left side of the mat, so west. And then bring your left forearm on your left thigh. Right hand comes to your right hip point. Engage your right glute. So you're going to really fire the right glute to press in towards that hand that's on your hip point. You can release the neck here if you'd like to, and you have an option to reach your right arm up and over past your right ear. So it's a nice lateral stretch for that right side. Keep the idea of pulling in the front so you create a little more space through the side. One more full breath. Bring your right hand to your right outer hip, lift up, and then turn to the back of the mat. So we're going to bring the right hand down, followed by the left. So back of the mat, knees come underneath your hips. Set up like we did at the beginning, so firm through the arms, and then sweep your right leg back. So we're in table with the right leg extended behind us. Bend your right knee, and then pull the knee in towards your chest, out to the right, behind you, and back under. Now, the thing here is that we don't want to move anywhere else except at the hip joint. So what I mean by that is if you're moving in the low back or you're moving your pelvis, like swaying it all around, then you're not isolating the movement at the hip joint. So think about that, stay strong through your core, and then we'll reverse that circle. It doesn't have to be big. It's probably smaller than you think, which is right. All right, last one. Okay. And then from here, bring both knees down. Curl the toes under and lift up to your down dog. Knees stay bent. Walk the hands back. So we're gonna walk the hands all the way back so that we're eventually in like a half squat. You're gonna sit the hips back and the fingertips stay on the ground. If you have a block and you're using that, fingertips can also be on the block. Spin your toes out and then sit back a little bit more. Not that we're going lower, but that we're moving our hips back in space. Now you can think about lifting up through the back body. So low back, mid back, upper back lifts towards the sky to get a little bit more through that movement. One more breath. Okay, now adjust the feet so that the toes are pointed towards the back of the mat where the hands are. And then we're going to step the right foot forward. So it's a very short pyramid. And then you can have the option to lift the right toes. Right knee has a little bit of a bend in it. Put all of the weight into the right leg and then step your left foot into a little baby pyramid. So essentially we're taking this walk towards the back. Option to lift the left toes. Try to keep the spine long. So that means that the knees can bend as much as you need to in order to keep the length in the spine. And the reason we're doing that is so that we can really focus on the pull in the fascia. And fascia is what wraps your muscles. That's what tends to basically get like a shrink wrap when we hold positions like sitting too much or when we're in a specific posture for too long. Let your left toes come down. If you took it lifted, then we step to the back of the mat. So you're facing the back of the mat, both feet are planted. Inhale, reach your arms forward and up. Revisit that idea of back of the head, shoulder blades, and the sacrum in one line. Exhale, hinge at the hips. From here, the left foot steps back, the knee lowers. Spin your left foot towards the right and bring your right forearm on your right thigh. Left hand comes to your left hip point. Press and engage your left glute so that it fires into that left hip point and left hand. And then you can let your neck release if that feels okay. You can reach your arm up and over, lifting up through the right ribs. Take one more full breath, really reaching. Bring your left hand now to the outer hip. Help yourself up using your core. Turn to the front of the mat. We're going to adjust so that the knees are right under the hips. Think about pulling your front ribs in and then reach your left leg back. Okay, we don't want to move through the low back or the pelvis. That's where the challenge is. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee, and then pull the knee under the hip, out to the left, and then back behind you. If you're really stable in this position, you can always take your right hand to the back or to the pelvis to make sure that you're not moving and to think about lifting up into that hand so that we're not dumping in the back. That is an extra challenge. Reverse your circle. Pull in with the front, especially right in between your hip points. So transverse abdominals really engaged. Okay, and then set your left knee down. Knees underneath your hips, curl your toes under, push into the hands, and find your down dog. Bend the knees, walk your hands back, coming into that squat variation. Toes can turn slightly out, and then sit the hips really far back. Spine is still long. Hands, fingertips can be down, ground, or a block. If you're up a little bit higher, that's okay too. They don't have to be on the ground. You could have the hands on the thighs, but really focus on sitting the hips back and pulling in as much as you can in the front. And then we'll start our walk forward. Left foot steps forward first in your pyramid. Bend slightly into the knee, pull the toes towards you. Again, drop the attachment, so there's no right or wrong. You can also wiggle this time, like moving, shimmying through the ribs, creating that nice pull. And then bringing the toes down. If you took them lifted, step your right foot forward. Option to lift the toes on this side. You're continuing to press through the ball of the foot. Then feel free to move. Let your right toes come down. Left foot steps next to the right. Ground firmly into the feet. Inhale, reach your arms forward and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. So last little sequence here, we're gonna step our right foot back, lift all the way up this time. So arms reach up to the sky in a high lunge. Bend your back knee and think about your glute firing on that right side. Pause with the hands on the hips, pull in the front. Now leave your left hand on the left outer hip and reach your right arm up towards the sky. Keep pulling it in the front as you reach a little bit more. Allow your shoulder blade to lift on the right side as you reach. Okay, and then bring your right hand to your right outer hip. Turn the toes towards the side of the mat. We're gonna sink into a goddess. So as you sink down, the knees do go out, but think about pulling the femur bones into the pelvis to help you stabilize more. And then we're gonna roll through the shoulders. So we lift a scapula up, roll it back and down. So from here, so scapula lifts up, roll it back and down. Now you don't have to stay deep in those legs. Like if you've done a lot today, then you can always straighten the legs and just focus on those shoulders. Roll it up, back, and down. Okay, remember you can stand. Shoulders is the focus. So scapula, roll up, back, and down. So it's not just the arm bone. You're doing your best, though. Just think, roll, roll, roll. All right, you're like, that's enough. Okay, turn to the back of the mat. Lunge for a moment. Stabilize through the outer hips. Leave your right hand down and reach the left arm up. So with the left glute on, you're creating more extension in the left hip, and you have this opportunity to use, with the neutral pelvis, the strength in the front of the body. So it's that deep core working. With that strength, use it to help you lift, to create more space, especially on the left side. Last breath here. And then turn to the side of the mat and we'll fold this time. So feet can go as wide as comfortable for you. Bend a little bit into the knees, sit your hips back. Spine stays long as the fingertips come down. And we'll lunge from side to side. So you're gonna start to bend more into the right knee, sit back in the right hip, and then take it side to side. Now you can do a lot or maybe just one or two. It depends on how you feel. All right. Now, sink into the left knee, and I'll mirror you. So sink into the left and walk your hands towards your right foot. Doesn't matter how deep you are, you're just taking it over, hands to the right. And then plant the hands or the fingertips and push the ground away. Bring the hands back to center, straighten the legs, bend into your right knee, sit the right hip back, hands walk over towards your left foot, press into the fingertips and push the ground away. Fingertips or palms, just depends on where you are. You could also have them on a block. Push. And then slowly come back through center. Start to heel toe the feet in towards one another. Lower the knees down to your mat. And then you can, so I know some of us have the knee things, so you can come up onto the knees or sit it back or come into a seated position just for a second. Okay, arms are gonna come out into a T, and then bring your left arm high and your right arm low. Now, we don't want to thrust the chest forward because we're not going to focus on the chest then if you push the ribs forward. I meant ribs. So pull the ribs in as you reach at that diagonal. Then spread the fingers really wide. Inhale. Exhale, bring your fingertips in front of you to touch and switch the diagonal. So left goes down, right goes up. Exhale, bring the fingertips together to touch in front of you, and then open opposite side. So again, think about reaching and containing the front line, using your core as you stretch at that diagonal, each direction. Okay, now hold your left arm up. Bring your right hand, it can rest on the side or fingertips down, reach it up and over. Feel free to turn your chest slightly towards the ground if you want a little bit more for your lat and the back side. And you can also release the neck if you'd like. Start to come up slowly. Arms out at that diagonal. Bring them in front of you, fingertips touch, and then opposite side. So right arm reaches up, left arm reaches down. Pause here. You can allow the left hand to come beside you or fingertips down, reach the right arm up towards the sky and slightly over. If you'd like, you can turn your torso just a little bit towards the ground. Keep reaching, and you can release the neck. Last full breath in and out. Lift up slowly and then bring the hands by your side. Okay, from here we're going to come to our bottom, so you can pick a side for the feet and then swing them forward. Hold on to the hamstrings or reach the arms forward. So two options, you can hold on or interlace the fingers, reach the knuckles forward. Try to segment the spine down slowly. So we'll be using our core as we lower. So think your sacrum, then your low back, mid back, upper back. Keep reaching the knuckles towards the sky as you bring the head down. Knuckles reach up, push into your, so we're all ladies, so push right behind the bra line into the ground, like as much as you can, and push the knuckles up towards the sky. So releasing here for your thoracic spine. Now you can take a little bit of a sway side to side, just a tiny movement, and then release that and bring the hands down. Walk the feet in, reach the left leg to the sky, press through the heel of the foot, pull the toes towards you. Now bend at the knee and take your left ankle on top of your right thigh and then bring those towards you. So you can use your hands on the right hamstring if you'd like to, or This is our other option. So if you're using the strength in the legs, bring your right hand to the right foot and then press your hand and your foot towards one another. So it's going to give you like this uncorking for that left hip. So again, heel and hand press towards one another. Last breath here. Set your right foot down, re-extend the left leg to the sky, roll through the ankle, and then set your left foot down. Right leg reaches up, press through the heel of the foot, pull the toes towards you. Bend the knee, take your right ankle to the top of your left thigh, and then pull it in towards you. You can use the hands on the back of the left hamstring or left hand to your right foot, press them in towards one another. Think about your back body softening in towards your mat. Slowly let your left foot come down. Re-extend the right leg towards the ceiling, rolling through your ankle. And then set your right foot down. You can allow your knees to fall towards one another or gently extend the legs to find your Shavasana. Take up as much space as you can on your mat. Taking our last breath together, fully inhaling and completely exhaling. Giving yourself this permission to release, to take a few moments to pause and let go. If you want to stay longer, please do. It's a mini version for a mini class. So start to move through the fingers, the toes, wrist circles, ankle circles, maybe a full body stretch. Begin to walk the feet in towards your hips. You can stay here or roll to your side. Pause for a moment to say thank you to yourself for dropping your attachment to a certain idea, to a certain pose or sensations that we think we should feel. Leaving those attachments off of our mat this evening. And lifting up into a seated position, we'll bring the hands together in front of us, with our eyes closed. So as we leave our mats tonight, may we carry with us the idea of non-attachment, or aparigraha. So remembering that we don't have to have expectations on ourselves, on other people, on situations, And if we let those attachments go, we can find more freedom in our life. I thank each one of you for allowing me to guide you tonight. I hope that you feel better and more connected to your bodies. We bow to ourselves and to one another. Namaste. Thank you, guys.